lot of questions frequently about the finishing technique that I like to do on the upper cup of my sheer bras, and that's by eliminating the elastic along that top line. So this is something that I do with a couple of my patterns. I've done it very frequently with the Harriet bra. This one here I have is the Chloe bra from the Bra Makery. And I think I might have done it on the Marlboro as well a couple of times. But it's a very simple technique. So the first thing you want to do is look at your uppercut piece. Now you want to make sure you have an uppercut piece that has a straight line here. And most patterns that are designed to allow for that lace scalloped edge will have a straight line up there. So all I do is I take my fabric, in this case sheer cup lining, and I iron a fold into it. The large piece of fabric, I will iron a fold into it. And then when I'm placing my pattern piece on there, I want to make sure that the fold is butting up against that seam line. So you don't need any seam allowances, of course, because we are folding it instead of finishing it. So we just need to butt the fold of your sheer cup fabric along that seam line, and if the pattern piece already has that seam line marked in there, it makes it really, really easy. So that's all you do to cut out the pattern piece. So we have two sort of options when it comes to attaching it. The first one is by far the easiest. And so this is a sheer bra. On my sheer bras, I like to make sure I have as few pieces of fabric as possible because I want to maintain that really light, ethereal quality. So this one, I don't worry about cleaning up the inside edges. So this is an exposed seam in there. So I already have exposed seams. So the easiest way to attach this upper cut piece is to keep it folded and then just pin it along that seam line. So this is what it looks like. Here's the folded edge along this cup right here, and then we have all the raw edges pinned together. Now we just sew this with our straight stitch or whatever the pattern calls for, flip this out and top stitch it down, and you'd be done. But like I said, the downside of doing this method is that you're going to have these exposed seam allowances in here if that bothers you. Now the second way that I've come up with to completely enclose your seam allowances, now this only really works if your upper cut piece is quite tall, so you need some real estate in there to be able to do this, but it's essentially a burrito method. So you can see I've got my upper cut piece down here, and I have the right sides facing up. You can tell it's the right side just based on the crimp in my fold. And then I have my cup piece in here, and I pinned the cup piece on top along the edges where it's going to line up. And then I'm going to do essentially the burrito method, which is to roll your bottom cup pieces into a burrito, and then bring the second side of your upper cup piece to match the first side, and then pin it into place. So that's the method that I'm going to go ahead and use in this bra. So I'm going to bring you guys over to the machine and show you how this sews up. So here we can see what that piece looks like once it's all pinned up. This is basically the upper cut piece is the outside or the tortilla of our burrito, and then inside of that we have our lower cut pieces rolled up. So I'm simply just going to bring this over to the machine and sew it on with a 1/4 inch straight stitch. Because this is quite sheer fabric, I want to make sure to hold on to my thread tail ends to make sure they don't get sucked in. So here's what it looks like once we've gotten that edge sewed into place, and then all we have to do is reach inside the tube and bring everything to the outside. So now you can see that we have that seam completely encased inside, and there has no extra seam allowance. Because this is a sheer bra, obviously you can see that seam allowance in there, but I think that sort of lends to the way it looks. So I'm just going to top stitch this down and this cup will be finished.